For years and years, the Boston Celtics were knocking on that door, trying to break through and win that tie-breaking banner number 18. And they've had plenty of failure throughout the recent years, but they finally broke through last season, winning their first finals since 2008, with the core of KG, Paul Pierce, Ray Allen, and with Doc Rivers being the head coach. And the Celtics last season went out there, and before the season started, they made some key offseason additions of Kristaps Porzingis and Drew Holiday, and it proved to pay off big time. And now, it kind of just seems like this is the new normal, and there's no going back. The Boston Celtics look like the prime candidates to repeat as champions, and become the first to do so since the 2017 and 2018 Warriors did, led by the super team of, obviously, KD, Steph, Clay, and Dre. And to be honest, the Celtics might just be the most complete basketball team since that Warriors squad, making them truly unstoppable. So let's start with the obvious. First things first, the Celtics starting five is easily the best five in the sport. It's the best fit, and it's the true reason why I believe they're so great. Especially, as you can see, with their most recent game versus the LA Clippers, who, coming into the game, a really good defensive team, and the Celtics went out there and they got one of their X-Factor players back in the lineup, with Kristaps Porzingis making his season debut. And the Celtics went out there and literally just put it on them. They dropped 126 points with relative ease, had a 51-point second quarter, which led to their dominant win versus LA. And it's just pretty obvious to me, like, their starting five is elite. And it shows when you look at the stats. Their starting five last season was, I think, if I'm not mistaken, the best five-man lineup when it came to net rating. And I'm pretty sure they'll be up there again when they get more time to play together. This starting five is just elite. Like, it's just one of the best I've seen, to be honest. They can match up with anyone, and they find a way to have you play into their hands every time. They will not fall into the trap of playing another team style. They are going to play their game, and you got to try to stop them. And you pretty much can't on most nights. They space the floor just as well as anyone. And on the defensive end, they can match up with anyone considering their switchability with their guards and wings. There's not one defensive weakness in that lineup. And it just truly makes them, like, hard to stop, hard to attack. Like, it's just hard to beat that lineup when they're out there on the floor. But not only has their starting five played great, they also have a current Sixth Man of the Year candidate who has not received a lot of attention for how good he's been, because Sixth Man of the Year, at least when it comes to just popularity-wise for an award, has kind of died down in the recent years because, like, another guy wins it every year. It's not like it's, you know, you got your guys like Jamal Crawford or Lou Williams winning on most years. Now it's kind of like whoever has the best year wins. It's kind of random. And this year, Peyton Pritchard is one of those guys. He's currently averaging nearly 15 a night on really good splits, and he has shown the ability to either run that second unit really well or fit right in amongst the stars. If you got a guy that's hurt, in Derek White or Drew Holiday, he can step right in and fill their shoes, at least pretty solid. And when you look at Celtics just statistically as a whole, they rank among the top 10 in both major offensive and defensive categories, which it would make them one of the select few teams that are elite on both ends. There's not a lot of teams that rank both in the top 10, and they're one of them. And to be honest, when you watch this Celtics team, there's a lot of times just this season alone where you kind of see that there's a real gap on how good the Celtics are and how good other teams are, especially in the Eastern Conference. Not saying they can't be beat, but I am under the belief that it's going to be extremely hard to knock this team off in a 7-game series, especially if they're going into that series healthy. It almost feels in a way that they're playing like another sport. And I know it sounds like I am just rambling on and on about how great they are, and you know, I'm kind of just like glazing them almost on how good the Celtics are, but it truly feels like that because the only way that they can be contained is you kind of just hope they miss, because they're going to get great looks majority of the times down the floor. They're going to find the right matchups they want to attack. They are just going to score at will on most nights, and there's nothing you can do about it. Especially if they're having one of those nights when they're on a heater and they can't miss from three. There's just nothing you can do. If you had to ask me right now who is the major threat to this Celtics team among the league, I'd probably say the Oklahoma City Thunder. And I've said this in a couple videos now, I think, but I think they're truly the only real team that has like a legitimate shot when they're healthy because of just how much of a great fit and how deep their roster is. But as for the competition in their own conference out east, I'm not going to lie. It's going to take a little more convincing from teams like Cleveland, New York, Milwaukee, Orlando, etc. to see that they can truly knock off this Boston team when it gets serious come playoff time. I mean, Cleveland got one loss, and it's to these Celtics, and yes, the game was close, but for a good portion of that game, it wasn't close. New York's case, kind of the same thing. It wasn't close. It was a blowout. And New York's in the first year of a new team. They're still figuring things out. I don't know if you're going to be able to beat a team that's been together already, won a championship, and their core guys have been through so many battles together. That's going to be hard. Milwaukee, they have guys that have been there before, but I'm not sold at all. I mean, yeah, they've won some games recently, but no offense to the Bucks. I just don't think they're that good. And the Magic are young. They have barely been through battles. And they still have offensive struggles, despite having like really good young talent and being a really good defensive team. They still kind of are who they are from last year. And I just don't see them being able to reach that level that Boston can. So when it comes to just out east, I don't know. I mean, it seems like almost they are a really high favorite. Like I'm talking about 70+% chance that they're probably going to go to the finals again. It's no disrespect to Cleveland because I feel like there's going to be some Cleveland fan watching that's going to say, oh, Cavs played a really good game and they only got one loss and they're elite. And yes, that is true. But like I said, it's going to be hard to beat this Celtics team 7 games in a 7-game series. It just is. They're elite on both ends. And when you watch them play, they are one of the smartest and one of the most talented teams when it comes to just as like a roster you could have in the modern era without having like a quote unquote super team. They have like great role players and then they have 2 stars and it just all combines to make like this super team like feel to their team. Whereas like it feels like you can't beat them because it's just how well they gel, how well they connect. And yeah, the playoffs are going to get really interesting. I mean, let me know what you guys think about the Boston Celtics because right now, I'm under the belief that if I had to bet, I think they're going to go back to back. Anyways, that's going to do it. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. Don't forget to check out my most recent video on my little mini rant on Mikal Bridges. This has been a checkup, and I'll see y'all in the next video. Peace.